This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Now that I have a team, I try to, ask them questions, help them make decisions without feeling judged in that way. I think that really, really helps people kind of come to who they are in making food.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Eliza Barbanel. Yara Herrera is the chef partner at Hellbender, a Mexican-American restaurant in Ridgewood, Queens. Born and raised in Los Angeles, she honed her skills in the city's fine dining restaurants like Wolfgang Puck's Spago and Providence before moving to New York in 2018 to work at Momofuku Co., Shilonen, and Sobremesa. Today on the show, we talk about Yara's culinary journey, running Hellbender, and creating her distinctive approach to Mexican-American cuisine.
And at the top of the show, Rob Ruba, chef and owner of Oyster in Washington, D.C., takes the Resy questionnaire. In 2023, Rob won the James Beard Award for Outstanding Chef, and he continues to be a leader in plant-focused, sustainable cooking. I hope you enjoy these conversations. Rob Ruba, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're here in Washington, D.C., and before we get to the Resy Top 5, tell me a little bit about Oyster.
Yeah, Oyster is a restaurant that's focused on sustainability and being a responsible restaurant for the future. That's the whole reason why I even opened a restaurant. I kind of came across this existential crisis if I should even still work in restaurants about 7 years ago. And I made a shift to go vegetarian and focus on sustainability. So we built this restaurant from ground up, and our focus was zero waste, focus on local agriculture and rebuilding that. And what that means is responsible agriculture too, whether it be organics, regenerative farming, folks that are really care about the soil and rebuilding our communities and having that closed loop system. So with that, we minimize all packaging, single-use plastics at the restaurant, and just find creative ways to go beyond waste. In DC, they stopped recycling glass about a few years ago, so we bought a glass crusher. We started crushing that glass and then worked with our local potter Material Things studio to create glass plates for the restaurant to kind of combat that and start that conversation. And I think a big part of the restaurant is just like starting conversations of how we can all be better in this industry and minimize our waste and just be better stewards and better ancestors for the future.
And so Oyster has a deep meaning about the menu construct and the way you present. Tell us a little bit about it, because it's very clever and cool.
Yeah, so our logo is an oyster shell and an oyster mushroom, and they kind of represent where our ethos stand there as the restaurant. So the oyster mushroom represents like a healthy soil, the mycelium underneath, and the fruit of that would be an oyster mushroom or any kind of mushroom. And then we're in the Chesapeake. Oysters were the largest consumed protein of this region forever until they were overfished, consumed. So if we're going to build a restaurant about sustainability and not talk about the Chesapeake and the Oyster Bay and how beneficial this oyster reef is, we'd be hypocritical. I think it'd just be, we'd fall short there. So we have the oysters, and they're amazing. We need to rebuild these reefs for clean water. I mean, one oyster filters up to 50 gallons of water a day. So you imagine how pristine the water was like way back in the day. It's And now people are scared to dip their toes in the Potomac, but
Yeah, times have changed. I mean, I've been able to go out to some oyster farms outside Richmond and just see the aquaculture here. First, they're delicious oysters. A little less represented in our country. You're not seeing Chesapeake oysters around the country. But tell us a little bit about these oysters. I've been outside Richmond at a farm. They're a little less represented in the countries. On the menus in like LA and Seattle, but I love them. I love your thoughts on Chesapeake oysters.
Yeah, I think the Chesapeake oyster is great. It is a little unrepresented. I think people shy away from it. They don't think it's as good. Like you don't get that Northwest cucumber flavor. You don't get that extreme brine of like a Northeast oyster. But there's something really special about them where like the terroir really takes place. So you can really taste the parts of the Chesapeake or the different rivers and bays. And they all are unique in, shape, size, cupping methods. There's a lot of unique things happening with the oysters in this region. I think it's just like underrepresented, given it was like the capital of oysters to begin with in this country.
It was. It really was. No, I love that sentiment. You seek out Chesapeake oysters on menus around the country. They're delicious. So, Rob, are you ready to take the Resy Top 5? These are the top 5 restaurants that have inspired your career.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do you want to start?
It was a really good challenge to think of these top 5. And I'll start with kind of outside of my hometown. There's a restaurant called The Crab Trap. It's a big tourist thing in Somers Point, New Jersey. I worked there as a busboy right before college. And it's a restaurant that I would go to all the time for a special occasion. Like my family and I, we never really went out to eat much. But like if somebody was celebrating something, we would go there. So it was like this magical place. And it's all like hardwood and kind of tavern-like. And, we'd go in there and people would get stuffed flounder and crab cake. It just really had that magic of a restaurant because I wasn't familiar with that world. We ate at home. We ate well, but we only ate at home. And then I was a server there, a busboy. And that was like my first idea of what restaurants are and what it was like to work in a restaurant. And it was hard. This is like summer vacation, so it's packed. It's like thousands of people a day. And, you're carrying trays like stacked to the ceiling. And if you break anything, you're going to get fired and just hustling around. And it was like work hard, play hard. And it was a good introduction to that. And you'd get to kind of be a server if you work like the early bird shift, and you'd clear bread pudding and find like a denture in it or something like that.
That's a great memory. I mean, Rob, tell me about like being introduced to back of the house culture. You're a chef now, you're leading back of houses, but probably back then it was maybe a little different than the vibe at Oyster, but there must have been something slightly intoxicating about that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much energy back there. It's kind of that motley crew kind of thing that was going on back there. The chef at the time was this woman, June. And it was like pirates back there. They all had like bandanas and stuff. And I was terrified of them, to be honest with you. I remember I had to get like some extra bar towels. And I went back there and I'm like, excuse me, can I get some bar towels? And they're like, what do you want? So it was like, don't ask, don't get is something I learned. But it was just like that energy and so many plates coming out. Like it's like a real turn and burn kind of place. And it's just like, wow, this is crazy. And I don't think I knew I wanted to be a chef yet, but I was getting the itch. Like I was really interested in restaurants from there.
So you were working front, but did you get to dabble in the back at all outside of that towel exchange?
No. We were allowed to get just eating. I think that was it.
Yeah,
like if you worked a double, they were like, you can pick these 3 items off the menu and eat it. And I'd always get this chicken parm and I would like swallow it in like 2 minutes to get back to my shift. But I didn't really touch anything. Maybe like piped some butter into a ramekin or something.
Okay, yeah. First experiences, a little like prep work like that. What is your second restaurant?
Second restaurant, well, flash forward like 6 years from there. I'd been cooking for a while at some good places. I worked at a casino and things like that. But then I really wanted to step it up, and I went to work at Gordon Ramsay's at the London Hotel in New York City. As a call me, like the lowest level you could be. It was extremely humbling and intense. It opened my eyes up to the restaurant world as a whole, like what really existed beyond the little bubble I was cooking in Connecticut at the time. And just the amount of talent that you're surrounded by in restaurants like that, when you're really high achieving, like focused on excellence, the type of people that are around you is just like crazy. Like, oh, I used to work at Charlie Trotter's as a sous chef. Oh, I was working with Kobe DeWolf, and I was at El Bulli, and you're just like, whoa. And, you're finding out about the restaurant world that exists beyond the United States there. And the standards were like so high and crazy, and just every day just like pushing and trying to figure out if I belonged or didn't belong. But that's when I got like the bug. Like I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is amazing. And I don't know, the companionship and like friends you meet there, or just people I still talk to today, and how successful just that roster of people I was with at that restaurant have gone on to do, it just blows my mind, like that you're on that.
As a commis at the lowest level at this restaurant, what are some of your tasks? What are you doing?
So I was in the canapé section where you would do all that. So in the morning, I was in charge of like making little foie gras pâtés and then little toast points. We had to fry these tiny little crab beignets to go on another dish. You were in charge of cutting herbs for everyone. Yeah. And that meant they had to be sharp knife and cut well, or you get screamed at.
Yeah.
And you had all these little canapés you had to pick up. For lunch service is where I started. And that was, you had to get organized. You had to do things right. They were the opening bites for everything, so that was a little stressful. Yeah. And then like mediocre, like cut shallots for everybody. It was like all those little things of mise en place that you had to do.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to get the Gordon story, because Gordon's rep, many in the industry say sweet guy, really nice. He's not how he is on TV. That's like now in 2025. We're talking early 2000s. Gordon Ramsay here for you. Yeah. What's it like working at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant?
I think it's just very demanding and hard. Like obviously that's a persona for television, right? Sure. And also at that time it wasn't the same person, right? No. Yeah, it was very crazy. Like he was there pretty often, but not as much as you'd expect, because the empire was pretty big. But I mean, every time he'd come in, like when I'd moved to Entremet, he remembered me. He was like, "Oh, you were on Canapé last time I was here. I see you moved up. That's great." Yeah. And like I remember the first time he came in, I had to put up all the canapés for him, and I was like a ghost. I was like, "Oh,"
like for like a tasting.
Yeah, and he gave me the thumbs up, and I was like, "Okay, this is good."
Rob's got skills at that point.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
They're developing, and yeah, it was stressful. It was definitely a hard restaurant. I don't. I can't say I was like amazing. I want to stay humble there and be like, I probably was the worst person cooking there at the time, but I was very driven. But overall, I think everyone that worked under him that were like in leadership were the same way. If something wasn't right, like they're going to find everything else that is wrong. And then like you really learn how to cover your tracks and be like on top of your mise en place and work. Yeah.
So like they'll find one thing wrong, and then that just like opens the floodgates for like investigation.
Oh yeah. Everything. Like every drawer is getting pulled out, and like the same exact chives you cut the night before that were good are now not good enough.
Yeah.
Just like, oh. So you're always trying to achieve that like perfection in a way, It's like even the brioche toasted for the foie was like, if there was a crumb on the plate, it was like sent back, like refire a new piece, not even clean the plate. No. It was just like start over again.
Wild.
Yeah.
But still important to recognize that.
Yeah, I think it built like a really good foundation for me, and like where I wanted to go with my career and what kind of chefs and restaurants I wanted to go to beyond that.
Have you reconnected with Gordon since winning the big award and opening your own restaurant?
No.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Gordon, come say hi.
Let's get Gordon down to Oyster. Yeah, I'm sure he would be into that. It's cool. I like.
Yeah, he likes vegans now, right?
Yeah, he's into it. Yeah, plant-based cooking is cool for Gordon. Let's move on to your third restaurant. Where are we going, Rob?
So we're going to go to Japan. I didn't work here, but it's a restaurant I ate at. And like 2011, I spent a couple weeks going around. And in Tokyo, there's a restaurant, Daisen Harumi. Chef Nagayama is the chef there. When I ate there, he was probably in his 60s. He'd been like being a sushi chef for like 40 some odd years. And it's a restaurant that just, I think, really laid down what I wanted a restaurant that I was going to have to be in the future. Yeah. There's just so much care taken in that restaurant. Like he was making all the pottery. Like every plate you ate off, he made. Yep. And he's like, "Oh, I designed this soy sauce dispenser so it doesn't drip. All the other ones are crap, And he had kintsugi plates, and he hand writes the menu every day and hangs it up. And as a guest, you get a copy of it. But that meal, he gave me the actual menu, which I thought was like so cool.
So cool. You have it still, I imagine.
Yes, it's something I cherish. And just like all these little details, like they had like a napkin, and the napkins were like hand sewn. And if you were a woman dining, you got to keep it. I don't know. It's like they do a lot of stuff like that there.
Yeah,
and,
Japan has those rules, those gender roles that are different. Yeah.
But I remember like my glass of sake was sitting for a while, and one of the assistants came over and like took it from me, and then they had like this ice bane and rolled it in it so it would like chill it back down to the right temperature. Yeah. And there's just so much attention, detail, and intention to everything that was just like, wow, like this is really caring for people. This is hospitality. This is what I want to create one day. Like, this guy loves what he's doing. I mean, I believe he retired a few years ago at like 80-something,
Yeah.
And just being able to have that kind of dedication and focus on a craft and just improving every day, and that interaction, it just felt so genuine and real. And I don't think I'd experienced a restaurant like that before. I mean, it's kind of the juxtaposition of what we were just talking about. I don't think I ever even saw the dining room at Gordon's.
Yeah. You didn't even know the color of the carpet there. Exactly. Do you go to Japan a lot? Is this part of your research and just your interests?
No, it doesn't. I haven't been a lot. That was like a big trip for me.
Yeah.
As a young cook, that was a big investment back then, and like doing stuff like that now is like, with kids, I just don't get to travel as much.
But let's move on to your fourth restaurant. I'm very curious where we're going to go.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Copenhagen. Relais restaurant. Christian Puglisi's restaurant was a huge inspiration, I think, for what Oyster became. I mean, it was talking about sustainability, working with organic farms, having his own farm, a very whimsical menu too, in a sense that things were always changing. And I, instead of like a dish being perfect, it was like, this is what's in season, this is what we have today, and we're going to use this kind of like empirical knowledge we have to create dishes. It's a restaurant that was really influenced by the book and just reading Instagram. And then in 2018, I finally went and dined there. Jonathan Tam was the head chef at the time, who has Jataken, which is a fantastic restaurant. And it was a restaurant that lived up to the expectation, right? Like, I was so hyped to go there. I was like worried, like, oh, it's going to be a letdown.
It's always a worry, right? Especially a place like Relais, Puglisi's got that cool cookbook. He's got this, but the feeling midway through, I'm sure, was like relief in some ways, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just even a restaurant where the overhead, like all the BS is cut out of a restaurant, right? Like all the performative stuff is gone. It's really letting the ingredients talk and the actual people be genuine with you, and it's just real hospitality. And I love that you could have a restaurant that's kind of like focused on excellence, these really important ethos, and then just like delivering great food, but like no one's like pompous and there's not in suits and stuff like that. And I just really was like, this is cool, and it's like a good blend of the restaurant I just spoke about, and then Relais is like, that's the hybrid. I need this restaurant.
Yeah, because there's fine dining principles everywhere in that restaurant. I've been able to dine there myself and visited Christian's farm, and it's great call that he's inspired a lot of American chefs like yourself in this way of kind of like effortless service, high ethics, but not like a big, massive mission statement on the front of the menu, just kind of like talking about it with you during service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a shame it's gone, but
and did you go to Based, his pizzeria?
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite pizzas in the world. Like, it's like my top 3 for sure.
Doing that style of like naturally leavened dough and like just the different grains.
Yeah, and they're making their cheese and like all this stuff.
Cheese.
It's like crazy. It's so good.
Yeah,
so
are they
good.
both gone now?
No, that's still
Base
open.
Is still open, but Relais is no longer there. Great call. Going to Copenhagen as a chef, did you get to go to the big Noma? Or
I went to Noma as well. That was really incredible. Once again, did not let down. And it was in the new location. I didn't dine at the previous. Super cool. We sat at like an 8-person table, like a communal table, and I love that kind of experience because like you're interacting with different people. And I went during the seafood menu.
Oh, cool.
And I'm a vegetarian, and they still prepared the vegetarian menu, and it's like my favorite experience because they just put like truffles and really good mushrooms on everything, and they'd come and like open this crock in this air, and everyone's looking at me like, who is that guy?
You got this special
I want that. Right?
When you go vegetarian sometimes for tasting menus, you get a lot of jealousy sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're like one of the few making that option,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I kind of want that.
I kind of want that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your vegetarianism because I know a lot of chefs who cook plant-based maybe aren't fully plant-based or vegetarian, so to speak. But you are. Have you been a vegetarian for a while? What's your journey there?
Vegetarian for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I was at a restaurant called Hazel that I was running, and I started getting really into this environmental and sustainability issues. And at that restaurant, I was known for like a duck dinner and ribs and tartare and
chef guy of a certain era.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know, I don't feel right about this. And it was something that's always been kind of a drive under me as even a young person. Like I really preferred vegetables and I don't want to say lighter food, but those kind of clean flavors. And then I made the shift in late 2016, 2017, around then. And then we started building Oyster because I needed a space where I could make this change that I wanted to see.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, we're wrapping up your top 5. What's your last restaurant that has inspired your career?
Yeah, and this is pretty recent, and it's not actually dining in the restaurant per se, but not the restaurant per se, just using the term.
No, the term will come up in conversation and people will be confused. So thank you for clarifying.
The Inn of Little Washington. We were invited to do a dinner with Patrick and his team about 2 years ago. And we went to the inn, and the type of hospitality they gave us as a team that was coming to cook there was incredible. Like, we just felt pampered. Like, it's like, what do you need? Everything we asked for was delivered. It was there on time. The staff was there to help us. Do you need a coffee? We got a coffee. You need this. Like, everything was amazing. A lot of times when you do these events, you're just there as like the work, the help, and like even asking for a water seems like an effort for someone. And just to be given that level of hospitality to a team that's coming to cook an event was amazing. So we did the event, and then afterwards they took us through the courtyard, and we're walking, and it was like this beautiful night, and we're talking to each other, and my sous chef Dana, she's like, I would love a cigar right now. And they take us into this back dining room, and they've prepared this feast for us. There's like veggie burgers, regular burgers, French fries. So cool. Patrick's back there, like all this food. There's whatever drink we wanted, and cigars show up, Wow. And we're just like, is this unreal? Like, where are we right now? Like, this is crazy. And we just had like this great night talking with everyone and just imbibing and eating. And we were just like, the most care I've ever felt as a chef, even out of any restaurant, So cool. And it's something we've taken as our like core values at the restaurant, that we want just even our staff alone and anyone who comes to do an event at Oyster to feel that like the same effort we'd give to like our most PPX guest, we're going to give to you. And it just trickles down. Like now it's like whatever we thought was for a special guest is like what every guest gets now at the restaurant. When you come to dine at a restaurant, you're going to feel great. You come to do an event with me, we're going to make sure you have everything you need. We don't want to let you down. We want to take care of you. And I think that's something the industry really needs now, is just like to make it attractive again, is like we need to remember we need the hospitality as much. Like we have to take care of ourselves and our own. And it's so important because a lot of times these asks are very heavy to go do events and things. And it's like there's not really any payback, or you're not really thought about. And, a lot of these nonprofits are still paying their people really well to operate the event.
The dynamic of the chef going and doing the charity event and not getting really compensated for it, for a great cause, obviously, and benefit, but you're not really getting taken care of, and you need to kind of change that.
Exactly. So that was really great, and just a really lovely team there. So that was a really special experience for us.
How was the veggie burger?
It was great. It was like a beet-based thing that they made, and I was really happy with it. So
it's an amazing point you make about restaurants hosting other chefs in a collaboration, or even just as guests, and how you want that ethic to translate that you're going to give your guest. I totally agree with you, and you should even do more because you're peers. Diners are guests, and some may be friends, but you guys are peers. You're working side by side in this very difficult industry, so you should treat each other well.
Yeah, and only do events with people and that are your friends. That's advice I'd give. someone you have some rapport with, because if you don't gel, it can be a really awkward experience.
Yeah, especially when it's like a collaboration menu.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah, I guess you have to learn, the hard way in some ways. But do you host chefs at Oyster?
Yeah, we usually do a series called Tray Veg, Very Veg. We invite chefs who normally don't do veg, and we say, come do a veg menu. We've had some great chefs come do it, and we're going to kick it off again this year too. So.
Oh yeah. Who are some chefs that have been there?
We've had David Posey from Chicago. We had Ian from Petramala in Philadelphia. Amanda Schulman from Her Place. Anna Castro and Isabel from Pasquale.
Yeah.
That was how we started the year. We got Chabella and Anna together for one dinner. It was our first day back from our winter break, and it was nuts. Like, it was so cool. The food was delicious, but it was like such high energy. I had a great time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Raruba, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste and taking the Resy Top 5.
Yeah, thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Our Place. Now, Clayton, let me ask you, what's your pots and pans setup looking like?
Well, I have a few cool pieces that you could call vintage if you're being very, very nice. But honestly, I do think I need an upgrade.
Yeah, man, I was kind of in a similar place myself, and I recently went on a search for the perfect sauté pan. I read all the Wirecutter and Reddit pages and landed on the Our Place website. I liked how their cookware looked. It was minimal, though functional, with a color palette that matched my own aesthetic. And I really liked that they make better kitchen products that are simply better for you. Our Place makes high-performance, toxin-free cookware. It's that simple. Their products are made without forever chemicals like PFAS and PTFEs. I had to Google that, and man, that stuff is nasty. So you can cook confidently without wondering what's in your pan. Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. That's FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. Today's episode is brought to you by ButcherBox. As a food writer, I can be a little skeptical about subscription cooking boxes you hear about on podcasts. There's big talk about cooking simplicity, but you're usually left with disappointment after smashing that promo code. Now, Clayton, have you ever tried one of those subscription boxes?
Yeah, Matt, my friend gave me a code for that one that has all the chopped vegetables in little baggies. I felt like a drug dealer trying to cook dinner.
Yeah, man, I have so been there. ButcherBox is a true exception. I was sent a box of premium beef and pork and was blown away by the quality and variety. There was 100% grass-fed pasture-raised ribeye, tri-tip, and ground sirloin for my favorite at-home smash burger recipe. George Moats, you better watch your back. For pork, they sent me a beautiful center-cut pork loin for slow roasting. I was super impressed, and I haven't even talked about the ribs, which I cooked in my Instant Pot. There was a rub of salt, white pepper, and togarashi, and I pressure cooked with water and apple cider vinegar. It was incredible. These ButcherBox ribs are amazing. For nearly a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free. As an exclusive offer, our listeners can get free protein in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first box when you go to butcherbox.com/taste. Visit butcherbox.com/taste to get this limited time offer and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/taste. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. This episode is brought to you by Tempo. We are all really busy this time of year, and sometimes cooking is not an option. Though we crave a healthy, creative, home-cooked meal that an Uber Eats delivery or slice of pizza isn't going to satisfy. Tempo is a smart solution. Delicious pre-made meals, creative and always interesting, arrive to your door perfectly portioned for lunch and dinner and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. I recently gave Tempo a try, and I was super impressed. The 3-cheese broccoli chicken orzo with roasted honey carrots was exactly what I wanted after a busy day interviewing chefs and writers in the podcast studio. Sometimes you just don't want to think about dinner. And honestly, I'm one of those people sometimes, and Tempo was the solution. With 20 meals available for delivery each week, mealtime is never boring. And for those macro counters out there, Tempo is a smart option. For a limited time, Tempo is offering This Is Taste listeners something pretty amazing. 60% off your first box. That's 60%, which is pretty close to free. Visit tempocooking.com/taste for 60% off your first box. tempocooking.com/taste. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Yara, Herrera, this is Taste. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Woohoo!
I rolled all my R's for you.
You did.
Was it too much?
No, you did a good job, actually.
Okay.
Good job.
I need your approval, otherwise we'd have to take that again.
Stamp of approval.
I'm really excited to have you in the studio today. I'm such a fan of your food, and I think we'll have a great conversation. And to start, I want to get a little bit of insight into who you are and your background, and I'm wondering if you would tell me an early food memory.
An early food memory. I always hated cooking as a child. So one of my, I guess it's not like a great food memory, but I have this very present memory of my mom always asking me to clean tomatillos and take the husk off of it. And I remember just being younger and being like, this is the most disgusting thing. And the most disgusting smell. And that's just like, maybe not the best food memory, but a memory that has always stuck with me. And even to this day now, I really enjoy the smell. But I can't help but to think back to that every time I'm like peeling tomatillo husks.
I love that story. I feel like my version of this was being forced to like strip the ears of corn and take all of this silk off as a kid, and just like sitting on the porch with my sister having to do that. I feel like one of the best reasons to have children is to have them be your prep cooks.
That's probably what my job was. That's when my mom had me, yeah.
Yeah,
be her personal prep cook.
That's really sweet. I feel like also a lot of people tell me like a positive food memory, but I think the weird or like the bad food memories are actually like so much more fun and evocative.
They are. I think it shows, once you reflect on them, you realize how much of an adult you actually are now, and how you've changed so much, and how much you've grown, and how you've taken negative things and turned them into positive ones, maybe even your career. Now I peel tomato husks professionally, and I don't complain anymore.
I was going to say, I bet you've peeled like thousands at this point.
I do, yeah.
That's funny. Well, okay, so you overcame this hatred of peeling tomatillos as a child, and then you ended up working in restaurants. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened, and maybe like broad strokes what your career has been like so far?
Yeah. I went to culinary school. Nothing fancy, just a local trade school in the San Fernando Valley. And my teacher, before I graduated, was like, hey, you're going to graduate soon. Like, I worked in retail at the time. I was a visual merchandiser for like Urban Outfitters and Hot Topic.
So fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like plating, but on, models and not plates. But he was like, you need to get a job. You aren't doing anything related to the thing that you're going to school for. And I was super nervous, and I think that's really what it was. Like, I was ready to graduate and I studied really hard, but I was just so scared to actually do it. And he was like, my roommate is looking for some help. I think you should head down there and help him out. And it turned out to be a restaurant called Katsuya in Hollywood and Vine. And that's how I got my first job. My teacher's roommate gave it to me.
I love that. And I'm an LA girl, so Katsuya means a lot to me. When was the moment that you realized that you wanted to be working in restaurants?
I had a teacher, her name was Miss Frederick, in high school. I had to take a home ec class to get some extra credit points. I was trying to get into San Francisco State at that time. I was really interested in social work, and I wanted to major in psychology and sociology, and go into more of a field of helping orphan kids and people who are looking for housing and things like that. And so trying to get into that school, I took Miss Frederick's class, and I just kind of secretly fell in love with her. I just loved her like boss woman energy, which I think was like really more rare to see at that time. Mm-hmm. And she just really inspired me. We never had a direct connection where, I would go to her for advice or anything like that. It was just more of admiring her from like far away. And of course, she was always like, I went to this school and things like that. So very last minute, my senior year, I just kind of canceled all my plans, and I was like, I think I'm going to culinary school. There's something I really enjoyed about how she ran the class and the steps of following a recipe and cleaning up and this discipline. There's a type of discipline that I just didn't have, that I was very curious and almost felt challenged. Like, could I be one of those people that like wake up really early and, sharpen their knives and kind of like head into work with a goal? And I think I was curious about that challenge specifically. I don't know if my relationship was ever really about food, so I feel very grateful now that I have found it.
Yeah, I mean, and now you're that kind of boss woman running the restaurant, like coming into work with your knives sharpened every day.
I do. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So, okay, tell me, like, when did you move to New York and what was your kind of path through restaurants before coming to Hellbender?
Yeah, so I moved to New York right in the beginning of 2019. I got offered a job at Momofuku Co. and I took it. I wasn't really sure what to expect. At that time, I had worked in some of the best restaurants in LA, and I was just looking for like the next best thing. Everybody praises New York. Some of the best restaurants are here. In my mind, the best cooks were here, and I wanted to see if I could like hang. So I came out here. I took the job. 2019 was a great year. I think we all know 2020 probably wasn't. We all thought the world was going to end, or at least I did. So I was almost ready to kind of head back home and be like, maybe this is a time to, spend with your family. And I had this like intermediate time of kind of waiting for something new to happen and then finally deciding to go back home. I befriended Daniel Eddy, who is the owner of Winner in Park Slope, and he had just opened the bakery at that time. It was maybe like 1 or 2 weeks, and he was asking just cooks and chefs if they were willing to help out and maybe run a little pop-up or help with like some desserts. I think staffing was really difficult at that time, so any way that he could reach out to people to help out. I ended up being one of those people, and it was the first pop-up I ever did in my life. I wasn't taking it too serious. Daniel didn't really ask me many questions, and it was the first time that someone kind of let me cook and do whatever I wanted. And it was the first time that I was like, okay, if I'm going to make something and I feel like no one's really judging, no one's really looking, the city's kind of empty, I don't have a boss, like, what am I going to make? And I just naturally made food that I enjoyed for myself, cooking at home, things that I grew up with. So I made like a fried potato taco. I made a small aguachile and a little tomato and peach salad. It was like I remember the outline of the pop-up had to be like $25, 3 items, and it has to be like grab and go. And it had to be ran Monday through Friday. So we ran it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On the last day, Friday, there was like a line out the door, which I was very surprised to see and very excited. And Monday of that week was the first write-up I ever received, an Eater with Best Dishes Eater Editors 8 this week. And I was just over the moon, surprised, and really cannot believe that I have lived here 1 year. I have no restaurant, no name, no title, and I somehow was able to make it onto this publication simply because, someone lives in the neighborhood and they happen to be there. So it felt a lot of a full circle. Also, maybe I was just in the right place at the right time, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that moment of the pandemic and restaurants here in New York, like people were really wanting to support, right? And wanting to have new things to eat, like new things to do. So it seems like a right place, right time kind of moment.
100%. I recently saw Daniel Eddy and I brought it up and I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. You were like one of the first. He was like, what are you talking about? I was like, this one time he's like, did I really do anything for you? I was like, of course you did. Like, you gave me this, opportunity with no judgment to kind of like let me be myself. And it's something that I realized I never really had just at that time working in fine dining. It wasn't really something that was offered to you like, hey, what do you think? Or like, what do you want to do, Now I think, now that I have a team, I look back to that moment a lot and try to ask them questions, help them make decisions without feeling judged in that way. I think that really, really helps people kind of come to who they are in making food.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And if this pop-up was like the first moment that you were able to kind of think about what your menu would be and cook your own food, how did you get to the point where you were able to open Hellbender?
So this pop-up gave me a confident boost to stay in New York. And I feel so grateful that I did start this in like a rise of pop-up culture. I feel like pop-ups became extremely popular at this time. Nobody really had a brick and mortar. So people were like jumping around. It was very exciting. People were like, I have to go to this pop-up because it might not be here again. And I kind of took advantage of that and I just went for it. I was like, okay, I did it once. I can probably do it again. And I eventually did one at Rolo's where I met my business partners now, Howard, Rafiq, and Ben. They asked if I would help out. At that time, I believe they were like maybe a year old. And we had a great time. It was a little fusion of some things at Rolo's, a little remake of some of the items they had with some Mexican ingredients, and then figuring out how to use a lot of their wood fire equipment. So we had a blast. I didn't think too much of it at the time. I was like, that was probably like the most popular restaurant that I had done a pop-up in at that time. So it got a lot of publicity. And a year later is when I got a call from them asking if I, would meet them up for dinner. They wanted to propose something. We met up at Cozy Royale. And
love their burger.
Yeah, I had the burger. I think we had 4 burgers. I love a sesame bun. And the conversation, I was very stiff. I've never been in a lot of conversations like that. I felt like I was really sweating, like trying to be professional. I'm in front of these, I think it was also our other business partner, Steven. So they're all like dads, older, very professional. And I didn't know them in a friendly way at that time. So I felt very much like, okay, I'm going in here with these, top chefs. What are they going to ask me? And they were like, hey, we kind of came across this space. We think it has a lot of opportunity. We personally don't have the bandwidth to carry out a project like this at the time. They were already opening Radio Bakery. Would you be interested in doing something in it? We really enjoyed the food that you made at the pop-up, and we felt like that's something that the neighborhood needs at the time. So they were like, we're not asking you to be our chef. We're asking you to be a business partner in the project. I was so confused. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it all happened so fast where I was like, I just kind of learned how to make, my own food. Like, am I really in a position to like now run an entire restaurant? And I was like, people do it all the time, right? People just close their eyes and say yes. And I felt like in my heart, I had the best intentions and I had worked really hard to be here at this moment. So why would I say no now that the opportunity has presented itself? And that's kind of how it started.
Hell yeah. I love that intentionality. I think like that's exactly the right way to respond when you have an opportunity. And I think what Hellbender has become is such a cool combination of like really a neighborhood restaurant that is so kind of beloved by the people who live in Ridgewood, and also a destination restaurant that has received a lot of press and accolades this year. And being able to kind of hold both of those truths together, I think just shows like what the restaurant is able to kind of accommodate. If someone is listening and they haven't been to Hellbender before, how would you describe the food? And do you think there are any dishes on the menu that kind of showcase that in a way?
Yeah. Hellbender is a Mexican-American restaurant, and I like to describe it in that sort because there aren't any very traditional Mexican dishes. A lot of them use and highlight Mexican ingredients and traditional techniques, but they try to combine American culture and more popular things that you might have grown up eating with. So one of our most popular dishes is the fried Oaxacan cheese. It's, I think, the first item that we R&D'd recipe undeveloped. And it was one of those that we thought about it and then we made it and then we didn't have to change it. Like, that was it. And that rarely happens. I was like, oh, I wonder if this will work. We fried it and I'm like, oh, that worked. I guess it's on
like
the menu.
a mozzarella stick, but kind of like lighter and less like, I don't know the word, gloopy.
Yeah, exactly. The vision behind it was, how do we make a Mexican-inspired mozzarella cheese stick? So we literally just take fried cheese. We don't even really do much to it, just kind of cut it into smaller pieces. We bread it in cornflakes, and then we pair it with what we thought we used to call a green marinara, but it's really just tomatillos. Tomatillo salsa with a lot of oregano in it.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like there's so many dishes on the dinner menu that I really enjoy. The crispy lamb tacos are another kind of favorite.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of people are like, oh, how did Rolo's get involved, or like how much of Rolo's is in the menu? A lot of the R&D that I did before opening Hellbender was made at Rolo's. So I had access to a lot of the ingredients that they had there. It was the kitchen that I was using at the time. So a lot of things that happened by accident were because I found something at Rolo's that I was able to use. And the crispy lamb is a dish that they were playing around with. I think they ran it as a special, just the actual method of how they cook the lamb itself. And I was like, this is like making carnitas, but with lamb. And that's how that lamb taco kind of came into place.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about brunch also, because I have not made it out to Ridgewood for breakfast yet, but a lot of people I think seem to be into the masa pancakes specifically. How did that come about?
I love that. That was a big collaboration with Rafiq, my other business partner and executive chef of Rolo's. I had a masa pancake recipe that I had developed for a previous project, Shilonin. And that pancake was a vegan pancake. So I had kind of a print or an outline of what I wanted the pancake to be. When we were deciding to open up for brunch, we were like, there needs to be a wow factor or something that's exciting about it. So people are really big on pancakes. We almost did a French toast. We were like crepe, French toast, or pancake, but we can't have all three. So we tested a lot of different recipes out for all three things. And Rafiq is a dad. He's like, I make pancakes for my kids every single day. Like, I am pancake king and master, and I want to do the pancake. And I was like, okay, here's, an outline of something I've already started. And he kind of helped me refine it and test it out and just, make it a little better. One thing that he's really adamant about is like no sugar in the pancakes. So if you have our pancake without the syrup, it's pretty savory.
That's cool.
Yeah. And the day before we opened brunch, we made the pancakes straight on the skillet, on the plancha, on the griddle. And that day we watched a video of like the best pancake, and I think the Golden Diner pancake came out and it was baked in one of those little pans. Ironically, Hellbender used to be a cafe before, and there were a bunch of those little pans all over the restaurant that we were like, we should probably throw these away, but we might use them someday. And funny enough, we grabbed one of the little pans and baked the pancake batter that we had landed on, the final recipe, into the pan. We tasted it and we were like, this pancake's like way better than any other pancake I have ever had. And we were like, it's going to be just such a pain to cook them all. And I was like, well, we all looked at each other. We're like, we all agree that this one's better, right? So it was kind of like, is it going to be hard? Yes. Should we just do it? Yes, because we know we'll be robbing this recipe of its full potential if we don't just, go with what discovery we've just made. So it was really interesting how it all came together, because it wasn't really until the very last moment.
Yeah. And then the fate that you happened to have stockpiled the pans that were already in the restaurant.
Exactly. And they were just always in the way. And I remember a million times that I was like, I need to throw these away. I think I took a few home. We gave a few away. It's just so funny.
Yeah. They were in the way because they were waiting to be chosen.
Yeah. They were saying something.
Oh, I
Here
love
we
that.
are.
Yeah. Come find us.
This episode is brought to you by OneSkin. If you're like me, your skin needs some extra care this time of year. All that cooking for family and friends has me busy dipping into my favorite cookbooks, like Von Vreeland's latest about cookies. I'm really loving what this guy does with coffee in his cookies. Coffee, it seems, is the secret to winning a holiday cookie competition. This busy season also has my skin in a pretty interesting place. Baking 3 dozen Linzers will do that. That's why I've continued to rely on OneSkin. I love their OS1 body formula, and it's been invaluable to have a daily routine that delivers both powerful skincare and longevity benefits, all in just a few simple steps. OneSkin also just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, which is one of those rare gifts that's both impressive and genuinely useful, providing an upgrade to anyone's nightly routine. Featuring their best-selling face moisturizer and their new peptide lip mask, each component of the set is designed to work together as your body enters its natural nightly repair mode, helping renew skin at the cellular level for a stronger, smoother, and more resilient skin. For a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co. That's promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
I feel like we're talking about like what it means to be a neighborhood restaurant, partially because I think Ridgewood is such a neighborhoody neighborhood in New York. And I'm curious what your tie was to the neighborhood beforehand, if you had like been there or lived there, and like how you kind of look at the restaurant as a dining neighborhood.
Yeah, I had moved very recently to Ridgewood before Hellbender opened. I've obviously had been there, I've had friends that live in the area. I didn't necessarily go to eat anything specifically at that time, 3 years ago, but obviously Rolo's. But I always enjoyed it. I lived in Bushwick for the first 6-7 years that I had lived in New York, so I always enjoyed the walkover. It was very short. It was kind of nice to run away to a quieter spot 10 minutes down the street.
Yeah, to the adjacent neighborhood.
Yeah, to the adjacent neighborhood. But I very quickly grew to love Ridgewood, not just because my restaurant in there, but because it really does have such a unique and special sense of community. I feel like anyone that has a business there really tries to support each other in any way possible. I have very good relationships with a lot of like the local restaurants and chefs that live in the neighborhood, and even just my neighbors. I feel like everyone's always there for each other, and you see a lot of familiar faces day in and day out, which I think you don't get to do a lot in Manhattan. And one thing that I really appreciate is there's a lot of community work involved. Like there's the Ridgewood Jazz Club, that will sometimes want to play outside of Hellbender. And I think that's, really amazing. Or, we raise donations for maybe the local soccer team down the street. And we're hosting a toy drive tonight. So a lot of like the businesses come together to try to be like, okay, what can we do for the community outside of just being a business? Because we're not just here to, capitalize on the neighborhood. We want to make sure that it's being taken care of and people feel supported.
Yeah, I think that is really special about Ridgewood. And even one day I was at Hellbender, you came in with a bunch of grapes that you were going to put on the menu that had come from your backyard. Like, what chef in New York has grapes in their backyard?
Yeah. I feel really lucky. I mean, I moved into that backyard and obviously the grapes were already there.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like that. I even went, down the street to the coffee shop and I was like, do you guys want some grapes? Because I don't know what to do with them. But it's having like those relationships, the people that come down the street be like, hey, I have all these extra, boxes, or I don't know. It's really cute.
Pancake pans.
Yeah. You guys need more pancake packs right here.
Exactly. And you mentioned working at Shilonen before. I'm curious, like in the time that you lived in New York, how have you seen the Mexican food scene kind of evolve and grow?
100%. I'm not sure if it's because I just became part of that industry so hard recently, or if it was because I wasn't seeking restaurants out before. But I really have seen such a rise in the Mexican community being represented in the culinary world. There's restaurants, like Corima that are making such a buzz. There's places that are opening up in Bed-Stuy, like Olmo Cantina, Dolores, where you start to see different variations of Mexican food in different regions. I felt like for a long time, and I think even now, a lot of people associate Mexican food with tacos, which is totally correct, and everyone loves tacos. Nothing wrong with that. But there's just so much more in that scope that I think is now being displayed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I live in Clinton Hill, and there's been 2 new openings that are in like a 10-minute walk to my apartment this year. And it's Mariscos Submarino having a new location, and then the Burritos Juarez place. And those are 2 like completely different. One is like Mariscos Aguachile, kind of that realm of seafood, and then the burritos are like their own kind of special thing. And I feel really lucky that those are both like now available to me.
Those are 2 of my favorite spots.
I feel like it's hard to find a good bean and cheese burrito in New York for some reason.
It is. I think it's underestimated. So people are like, who cares what beans you use? Who cares what cheese or tortilla? But I think when you do it right with the right ingredients, it shows.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's the end of the year and everyone is talking about end of year lists and like the best meals that they've had. And I've seen Hellbender included on those lists. The New York Times did their top 100 and Hellbender was a new addition. What does that feel like in the restaurant when you receive that recognition?
Oh man, I feel like I can't believe it. I really cannot. Maybe I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome. I go through like different personalities. Some days I wake up and I'm like Beyonce and I'm like, Of course, it's my world, And then some days I'm like, is this really happening? Is it really me? Is everyone going to walk out of a room and be like, ha, 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 just kidding, But it's, it's important to stay humble and grateful.
Yeah, keep making our food.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for, it could be menu stuff or even like bigger things that you want to see happen at Hellbender in the future?
Yeah. I don't want to get too into it, but we are doing a very small renovation to the kitchen upstairs. We might try to figure an open kitchen situation out that kind of combines the hotline with the bar a little bit. One challenge that we've experienced a lot the last 2 years is that Hellbender was originally built to be a cocktail bar. And so we designed the kitchen around that. The kitchen is extremely tiny. It is boxed in to be very dark, like no light pollution coming out into what we thought was going to be a dark, sexy bar. And so now we're dealing with trying to run a full-service restaurant out of that tiny box. So we are reinvesting some of the money that we've made this year into making it a little bit more of the restaurant that I think we're moving into.
Well, that's exciting for you and your team.
It is.
Get some sunlight.
It is.
Okay, I want to play a rapid fire game with you to close today. So I'm going to make you play some favorites, but there are no wrong answers. Okay, your favorite season for cooking?
It has to be summer. I know. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's strawberries. It's everything. It's so hot. I love to eat like raw, cold fish and things like that. So I feel like summer is always the best time for it.
Totally. A favorite cookbook?
Ooh, I really like In Search for the Seventh Mole by Susana Thrilling. It is a very small, it's not necessarily a cookbook, but it's a little short story about her journey in Mexico, becoming a mother, how she had kind of fell into these 6 moles and everyone would tell her there's a 7th. So it was like her journey into finding it. And then she shares like the 7th, the 7 recipes.
Oh my God, I have actual chills right now. I love mole and I didn't know there was a 7th one, so I'll have to seek it out.
It's a good one.
Okay. An LA spot that you wish would open a location in New York.
Am I allowed to say In-N-Out?
Yeah. What's your In-N-Out order?
A number 2 with grilled onions, extra toasted bun, cheese fries, and a pink lemonade.
Oh, I didn't know that they did pink lemonade.
Oh my God, yes.
I'm always doing a Neapolitan shake instead.
I love a shake too.
Have you seen people bringing their own bacon to In-N-Out? I just saw a video of this.
No, but that's kind of a pro move.
I know.
I'm surprised they don't have bacon now that I think about it.
I don't know. Who knows how they make their decisions?
One of my best friends in high school worked at In-N-Out. So I know like every little hack and trick and all these like crazy orders that you can get.
What's like an off-menu thing you think more people should be doing at In-N-Out?
Definitely the double toasted bun. Definitely like the raw onion and grilled onion. There's something he would always talk about called the Flying Dutchman that I don't remember what's really in it, but
yeah, I'm gonna Google this really quick because I remember this being a thing when I was in high school that you would like get the Flying Dutchman at In-N-Out. So the Flying Dutchman is like a legendary sailing ship, but it also is 2 patties and 2 slices of cheese with no bun.
That's crazy. Maybe we won't be getting that one.
Maybe not that one. My In-N-Out hack is you can get like jalapeno peppers on the patty. Okay.
That's a good one.
Your favorite food neighborhood in New York?
I love Flushing. There's just, I feel like I'm in another world. I feel like I just transported somewhere else.
Yeah.
I love the noodles. I love everything about it.
Super great. Your favorite like quick lunch spot in New York?
Ooh, I think for a quick lunch spot, I stay in the neighborhood. I really like going to Mama Yoshi Mini Mart. It's very just grab and go, onigiris, pickles, bowls.
Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite occasion restaurant in New York?
I recently had a fancy night and went to Ada. I'm obsessed.
Did you go to, they have 2 locations now? Which one did you go to?
I went to the East Village one.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a nice room?
It was amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Just, I felt very taken care of. The hospitality and that restaurant group is insane.
Your favorite bar in New York?
I'm kind of a dive bar girl. There's usually a bar that opened in Richwood, Mr. Nancy's. I really like going there. I also really like Aftermath. They have very delicious cocktails.
A favorite bakery in New York?
Again, I'm going to just stay biased to Richwood. Bakeri. I don't even know if I'm saying it correct. It's spelled Bakeri.
Yeah, bakery, bakery.
If people say bakery, I like to maybe just say bakeri to act like it's a different word. But it's conveniently placed on my walk to Hellbender, so I run in there for a treat all the time.
Yeah, what's your go-to there?
They always have some type of seasonal scone. I also really like the peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. And I love like the sourdough with, I think it has like thyme and things like that, some herbs.
A favorite thing on the menu at Hellbender right now?
Ooh, what do I like at Hellbender right now? I really like this Brussels sprouts dish we put on. It's just like roasted Brussels sprouts tossed in like a bunch of salsa matcha and scallions and like a nice big squeeze of lime.
So good.
Yeah, it's like eating veggies, but like not really.
Okay, finally, a fictional food scene, like from a book or a movie that you wish you could magically eat in real life.
The first thing that comes up in my head is a Krabby Patty from SpongeBob, from the Krusty Krab. I think he's like one of my chef inspos, SpongeBob.
Because he's dedicated?
I think he's so dedicated. Like, he's like, it's Mr. Krabs doesn't pay him, and he's like, I don't care because I'm here for the craft kind of thing. So he's really inspiring, and he looks like he makes a good Krabby Patty.
I love that answer. And this has been such a fun conversation, Yara. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Matt Rodbard and me, Eliza Abarbanel. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Episode portraits by Louise Zergang Pomeroy. Logo design by Ellie Skurzat and Ian Dingham. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.
My name is Percy Jackson. Getting in trouble is like breathing for me.
The hit series returns to Disney Plus and Hulu.
The danger is greater than you can possibly imagine.
What about Grover? Save Grover. Save camp.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians. New season now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Learn more at disneyplus.com/what's on.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.